I was once the most revered senior disciple of the sacred land of primordials, known for my integrity and gentle nature. Yet I was framed by a junior disciple for harming a fellow female disciple. No matter how much I explain, everyone believed I was the culprit. Even my most trusted master did not believe me. In my previous life, I argued fiercely, but I could not change my master's opinion of me. I was sentenced to the divine thunder punishment of 9 heavens. My physical body shattered, my soul severely injured, leading to my death, and the true mastermind hid behind the junior female disciple, reveling in his successful scheme, showing a cold smile. Reborn in this life, I will no longer be concerned with camaraderie. I vowed to make the junior disciple pay the price. A year later, in the bewildering pond, I sat cross-legged, surrounded by intertwining 5-colored lights, emitting a daunting power. The 5 elemental arts, each color representing a different power. Gold for attack, wood for life, water for movement, fire for destruction, earth for defense. I withdrew my divine sense. Time to go! I stood up and brushed off the dust, casting a meaningful glance southeastward. During my divine sense probe earlier, the figures of Yun Yao and Yunfan naturally caught my attention. During this period, Yun Yao had repeatedly sought forgiveness in the bewildering pond, but I always avoided her. At first, she blushed. Later, her eyes reddened. If it's not destined, why meet again? Before leaving, a thought crossed my mind. A longsword flew out from my storage ring. Looking at this sword, I couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions. The Shallow Admiration Sword, a birthday gift from my master. I remember being delighted for a long time, and the first solemnly named it Shallow Admiration. Shallow admiration, the subtle affection of a young man. But it never fulfilled its meaning. Instead, it was personally broken by Luoyang, thinking I had let her down. Unworthy of this sword, perhaps to protect Yunfan as well. Taking a deep breath, I placed the Shallow Admiration Sword and the Disciple token on a green stone. Stepping out of the bewildering pond, I turned my head towards the sacred peak. From the very beginning, I felt a gaze, fixed on me and never leaving. But I didn't mind. Calling out the crane, I headed towards the Pill Peak. The journey was unimpeded. Wow, Senior Brother Lin is here. Wow, it's Senior Brother Lin. He's really handsome. I really like him. Somewhere on the Pill Peak, several female disciples seeing me dressed in celestial robes, like a true immortal descending to the mortal realm. Their faces flushed slightly. Seeing this, I was already used to it, though I knew my handsomeness was only slightly inferior to the screen idols. At this moment, a streak of light flew swiftly from somewhere. A bright and cheerful girl dressed in the sacred land's disciple robes appeared before me. She was the same girl who had confronted Yun Yao earlier. Her name was Zimuksu. She was the partner of my fellow disciple Ningqiu. From the beginning, her personality was lively and unrestrained. She drew me and Ningqiu together to form the sacred land's 3 musketeers, always helping the poor and robbing the rich, digging graves and exploring tombs. Zimuksu greeted me with a carefree manner. Quickly tell me, the emperor-level martial skill you gave me last time. Which ancestor's tomb did you dig it from? Steadying herself, Zimuksu examined me. 3 months ago, she came to visit me. To pacify her, I gave her a martial skill. Zimuksu initially thought it was given casually, but she never expected. It was actually an emperor-level martial skill. One must know that among all the true disciples in the sacred land, only a handful possessed emperor-level martial skills. It was a lucky find. Is the junior sister using it well? Well, very well. After practicing it, I feel like I can handle 10 at once. Zimuksu's face lit up with excitement. She gestured enthusiastically. "Oh right, senior brother. Can I share this martial skill with Ningqiu?" I smiled slightly. I originally intended to give you both a copy, but since you have this thought, I'll pass Ningqiu's copy to you as well. Give it to him when you see him. Hearing this, Zimuxu opened her eyes in shock. But then she became puzzled. Why don't you give it to him yourself, senior brother? I'm about to leave the sacred land. And I don't know when we'll meet again. I trust you with it. I smiled warmly. There are not many friends I can truly trust. Mingqiu and Zimuxu are among the few. In my past life, Ningqiu died fighting for the Forbidden's elixir for me. When everyone pointed fingers at me, Zimuxu stood up and loudly declared, "What nonsense are you all talking about? Even if it happens again, Ningqiu would still help Brother Lin without hesitation. You don't understand what camaraderie means." This sentence stayed with me for a lifetime, and I felt guilty for a lifetime. Zimuxu blinked, her face full of sorrow. After 7 years together, he was reluctant to part with such a good senior brother. With a bitter smile, I bid her farewell, then proceeded to the depths of the Pill Peak. In a moment, I reached a grand hall. Stepping inside, on the jade bed in the center, a beautiful woman lay with her eyes closed, her hands resting on her flat abdomen, as quiet as if she were sleeping. Looking at her delicate face, I was filled with guilt. I had contended with Yunfan for decades, done right by the world, but I had failed these foolish girls. Don't worry, I will save you soon. As the sun was about to set, I finally stepped out of the grand hall, riding the crane away, at the foot of the Sacred Land's mountain gate. While leisurely traveling, my expression suddenly darkened. Looking up, it was Luoyang in a white dress, but now her eyes were darkened, her expression weary and frail, no longer resembling the pristine snow lotus she once was. "Yichin, the outside world is dangerous. Come back with your master." I laughed. The outside world is dangerous, but is the sacred peak any better? Strangers' knives only hurt the body, but familiar ones hurt both body and soul. Seeing my flickering gaze, Luoyang anxiously took a step forward. "Come back with your master. I'll help you restore your cultivation, and such things will never happen again. I promise." Her voice carried a hint of sandiness. Since embarking on her cultivation journey, she had never felt this anxious. But today, she was overwhelmed with uncontrollable fear, feeling as if everything was slipping out of her grasp. Hearing this, I only gave a cold smile. Does the Empress think I have a masochistic tendency, willing to stay here and let you trample on my dignity again and again? If you don't want me to hate you, then let me leave the sect. At least we'll part on decent terms. With that, I gently called my crane, heading in another direction. Watching my departing figure, Luoyang forcibly suppressed the sorrow in her eyes, just a little more, and she would have been unable to restrain her inner demon, forcing her to detain Lin Yichin. On the other side, I directly used a cross-domain teleportation array to reach the southern border. The southern border is located south of the Zhuanshan domain, mostly populated by demons, with a fierce and robust culture. In Luoyang city, cultivators from various realms and races gathered, all for the soon-to-open Heavenly Burial Secret Realm. I sat by a window in a tavern, sipping my drink lightly. At that moment, in the sky above Luoyang town, a massive flying ship emerged from the void, casting a large shadow on the ground. Following this, a few female cultivators surrounded an extraordinary beauty who walked on lotus petals, with a light veil covering her face, exuding an ethereal aura. She was the Green Lotus Fairy. Immediately, some people were visibly excited, their eyes burning with fervor, even breathing heavily through their noses. The Green Lotus Saintess was a famous beauty in the Zhuanshan domain. Her appearance naturally made many eager to catch a glimpse of her beauty. I heard the Green Lotus Fairy has cultivated her divine lotus body to the 8th transformation. In the future, she will surely become a great power. That's truly terrifying. I heard the divine lotus body has 9 transformations and once fully cultivated, one thought can make flowers bloom, nurturing the next 19 lifetimes. Her realm will soar. But I wonder how the Green Lotus Fairy's strength compares to Lin Shangxi's. In the past, I would definitely support Lin Shangzi, but recently I heard he crippled his own cultivation a year ago. How can he possibly compare to the Green Lotus Fairy now? Now, he probably can't even beat me. Alas, what a pity! People whispered. Their expressions varied. On the other side, under everyone's watchful eyes, the Green Lotus Fairy had already arrived outside the tavern. Those lively and quick eyes immediately locked onto me. Sensing something, I looked up, meeting the gaze of the Green Lotus Fairy. She walked straight to me and bowed, then spoke apologetically. Green Lotus is here specifically to apologize for the misunderstanding about you, Holy Son, hoping this does not strain the relationship between our sects. She had joined the sect as a child. For her, the Cloud Palace was like home. Naturally, she did not want the Cloud Palace to become enemies with the prodigious supreme talent. I replied with a nonchalant smile. The Saintess is not at fault. No need to apologize to me. As for the sect behind the Saintess, it does not affect the friendship between us. Does it? By the way, Saintess, you should call me by my name in the future. I'm no longer the Holy Son. Using that title is inappropriate. I put down my wine cup. Friendship, huh? The Green Lotus Fairy smiled softly upon hearing this. Her smile like a spring breeze, warm and elegant. Lin Yichin, since you say so, I will comply with your wish. But to me, you will always be that respectable Holy Son. As I sat opposite the Green Lotus, conversing pleasantly, a captivating, sweet voice echoed through the place. Brother Changsheng, you are so heartless. With a new beauty by your side, you forget the old one. I'm so heartbroken. That voice seemed to have some kind of magic, making people fall for it uncontrollably. With that voice, a charming girl in a fiery red dress gracefully landed beside me. Whether intentional or not, the distance between us was only a few centimeters. A rich but not overpowering fragrance wafted from Yin Wanan. From my perspective, her full, soft breasts were like white jade, both firm and large. The key point being her legs were long, and her delicate feet, like golden lotuses, were still bare. At this thought, I gulped involuntarily, subtly shifting my body, seeing my subtle movements. Yin Wanan blinked at me with a resentful look. Then her tender body moved closer. Holding my hand with deep affection, she guided it towards her chest. Brother, if you're scared, you can feel my big heart, and you'll be enveloped in warmth. My pupils contracted. Terrified, I quickly pulled away from that soft, jade-like hand. There are too many people here. We'll talk later. Hearing the deeper meaning in my words, Yin Wanwan's eyes rippled as she gazed at my handsome profile. She felt that I had changed. Since he joined the sacred land and had junior sisters, he didn't avoid her like the plague, but he was quite distant. His affection seemed entirely focused on those two heartless women. Every time this happened, her heart would ache. She could only cry silently in the lonely nights. But she never blamed me. If blame was to be placed, it was on the rift between humans and demons. As long as I was happy, she was willing to silently bless me from afar. So during that time, she trained intensely to numb herself, to stop thinking, to stop longing. But what infuriated her was that the man she cherished was carelessly hurt by those women who suspected him. She could no longer suppress her overwhelming love. Time and again, she coincidentally met me. After a while, she regained her composure. Her spirits lifted even more. I'll listen to brother, she said, then leaned closer to my ear and blew a warm breath. Across from us, the Green Lotus Fairy watched Yin Wanan, her entire body pressed against mine, her small mouth about to nibble. Unable to bear such a heated scene, her face turned red, quickly interrupting with a spell. Saintess Yin, you seem quite anxious. How can I not be? I'm already 18. At this age, worldly women already have children, but poor me and brother Yichin haven't even kissed. Yin Wanan pouted, her face full of sadness, glancing at me resentfully as she spoke. But with the Green Lotus Fairy's words, she quieted down. I like obedient ones. She needs to be ladylike, seeing Yin Wanwan's exaggerated posture. The corner of the Green Lotus Fairy's mouth twitched. Is she really okay with this? The three of us chatted for a while longer. Learning of my decision to leave the sacred land of primordials, Yin Wanwan visibly excited. She had been displeased with Luo Shi for a long time. By the way, Brother Yichin, your cultivation. Yin Wanwan suddenly transmitted her question. Dispersed. I raised an eyebrow. Hey ha! If Brother Yichin says so, Wanwan will be thrilled. Yin Wanwan's lips curled into a mischievous smile, her dimples adding to her adorable look. As clever as she was, she had long thought that if my cultivation was truly dispersed, she would slyly take out a sack and carry me away, cook the rice until it was done, and have a child every year, aiming for 10 in 10 years. Otherwise, it would be a waste of their excellent genes. I tapped Yin Wanwan's smooth forehead with my finger. You're too happy. The Green Lotus Fairy watched our exchange, her eyes filled with great surprise. Though humans and demons were not mortal enemies, they were not of the same kind. Their hearts must differ. Therefore, many sects followed the principle of eliminating demons to uphold the Tao. The Cloud Palace was no exception. At that moment, the communication device on her waist vibrated gently. A message entered her mind. She glanced at the two of us with her beautiful eyes. Taoist Lin, I must go and meet up with the disciples of the Cloud Palace. Just as well, we are leaving too. I nodded with a smile, pulling Yin Wanwan as we walked out. Green Lotus Fairy, as a friend, if you ever encounter any difficulties, feel free to come to me. Outside the tavern, I stopped to remind her. The Green Lotus Fairy paused for a moment. Then she nodded thoughtfully. If Taoist Gu encounters any trouble, you can also come to the Cloud Palace to find me. Watching the delicate figure of the Green Lotus Fairy disappear from sight, I suddenly felt a chill on my neck. Turning my head, I saw Yin Wanwan's alluring red lips slightly pouted, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Brother Yichin, she's already gone. And you're still looking? Yin Wanwan spoke softly. What? Are you jealous? Seeing the reproachful look in Yin Wanwan's eyes, I pinched her delicate, smooth cheek, feeling an incredibly pleasant sensation, as if pinching a piece of soft cotton candy. Caught off guard by my sudden affectionate gesture, Yin Wanwan blushed. Looking at my handsome face that she had dreamt of countless times, she shyly lowered her head, letting out a soft, coquettish hum. A shadow fell over her, and my kiss landed on her fair forehead. Feeling the warm breath on her cheek, Yin Wanwan's eyes widened in surprise, her heart pounding, her small ears turning bright red, as if about to drip water. Are you still jealous? Looking at me, she pursed her lips. Yin Wanwan snapped out of her daze, raising her hand to touch her itchy forehead. Her eyes filled with a sly glint. Lowering her head, she spoke softly. I warn you, we demon women value chastity the most. You kissed me. You can't just walk away. But someone used to always let me kiss her. I looked at Yin Wanwan with a peculiar gaze. You're being a rogue. That was when we were kids. It's different. HMPH. So why don't you comfort me now? Blushing, Yin Wanwan stomped her foot in frustration. Over 10 years ago, we were just little kids. Kissing was just innocent play. Now, kissing is true love between a man and a woman, even though she used to want to conquer me. Clever as she was, she could say it out loud. After all, you started it first. You can't avoid me anymore. And you can't ignore me either. I will cling to you for a lifetime. Yin Wanwan pouted her small lips, then stepped forward and hugged my arm, her little head naturally resting on my shoulder. Feeling an incomparable sense of peace, I laughed lightly and tapped her delicate nose, then raised 3 fingers. Sincerely looking at her, if you are willing, then I, Lin Yichin, swear by my Tao heart, to the heavens above, and the underworld below, with the ancestors of all realms as witnesses, that I, Lin Yichin, will protect Yin Wanwan for all eternity. never to abandon her, together through black hair, until old age. If I break this oath, may my body and Tao perish, and may I never enter reincarnation. As the oath was made, the previously clear sky suddenly rumbled with a few muffled thunderclaps. A mysterious aura of the Tao descended quietly upon me. To avoid disappointing my master, I began deliberately avoiding Yin Wanan, thinking time would dissolve everything. But it wasn't until she died blocking a sword for me, her blood staining the sky, that I realized some girls should never be let down. Some loves grow stronger with time. How could I push away the beauty by my side now? You're such a fool! Who asked you to make such a vow? Looking at my handsome and flawless face, Yin Wanwan's eyes reddened, her heart trembling. A Tao heart vow is a cruel curse, but also a solemn promise. If a cultivator breaks it, they will suffer a backlash from the Tao, leading to true life and Tao extinction. Beautiful Wanwan, will you be my eternal Tao companion? I smiled warmly, my eyes reflecting Yin Wanwan's extremely beautiful face. Yes, I am willing. Yin Wanwan embraced me, lifting her stunning face, her eyes brimming with tears, nodding repeatedly. This phrase she had waited countless days and nights to hear. In Luoyang City, Yin Wanwan clung to my arm, seemingly having endless thoughts to share. Do you remember when we first learned to talk? Back then, we could chat from morning till night. But ever since you left the demon lands of the sacred ruins, my heart felt empty. I trained desperately, just to be with you sooner. But later, I realized you seemed to be deliberately avoiding me. You don't know how heartbroken I was then. My heart ached. I raised my hand to gently rub Yin Wanwan's head. I was too foolish before. You're not foolish at all. On the contrary, you're too loyal. That's why you're bound by righteousness. That empress and your fellow disciples are heartless fools. Leaving them was the best decision you made. And I, Wanwan, have saved plenty of treasures over the years. More than enough to take care of my man. Yin Wanwan pouted slightly, feeling indignant for my sacrifices. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh, not wanting to continue such a heavy topic. So I changed the subject. By the way, Wanwan, how is the demon lord? She's doing fine. Eating and drinking as she pleases, and going out to kill someone for fun when she's bored. Yin Wanwan looked slightly forlorn. I still remember 17 years ago. Though she had milk in her mouth, her mind was filled with the future of the demon clan. Until the demon lord picked me up, she realized. Clever as she was, she turned around and kicked everything away. To hell with glory. All she needed was a lovely child husband. She waited and waited, seeing me grow more and more heroic. Her little head was already thinking of names for our children. But damn it! She planned everything, except that the man she hadn't yet fully raised would be sent away by the demon lord. How much of a blow was that to her young heart? If it were anyone else, they might have gone on a killing spree. Time passed. Suddenly, a series of rumbling sounds echoed through the heavens and earth. A majestic spiritual energy poured into one place like a dragon drinking water. It seemed the secret realm was about to open. Dozens of streaks of light crossed the sky. Voices could be heard among them. Let's go! We should take a look too. Holding Yin Wanwan's small hand, I walked towards the secret realm.